The mood at the Gibraltar Federation of Small Businesses dinner was positive, but the cloud of uncertainty still looms.
On the one hand, I think we have businesses who are getting itchy feet. The continued uncertainty about whether there will or won't be an agreement is a brake on investment, which is not good for Gibraltar's economy. But then I think we have a significant number of businesses as well who have not yet maybe fully engaged with the what having an agreement or what not having an agreement actually means.
It's a topic the keynote speaker, the head of the FSB in Northern Ireland, knows a lot about, having lived through the protocol and the Windsor Agreement.
Well, the Northern Ireland Protocol was the first bit of documentation that was agreed between the UK and the EU for leaving Europe and dealing with the Northern Ireland part of that. But quite quickly we found that it just wasn't working for business. So businesses came together. That was very important. We all came together and we analysed out what was affecting us, what needed to be changed. And over the course of time then we lobbied everybody that would listen to us and we brought forward evidence of it and therefore the need to change parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol or the way it was operating. And that's really what resulted in the Windsor Framework. It was an agreement between Rishi Sunak and Ursula von der Leyen about how they would apply the Northern Ireland Protocol in a way that would work for businesses and people in Northern Ireland. And it's moved things forward, but to a certain extent, it's also kicked the can down the road on a lot of decisions. I think the real challenge is being at the negotiating table. We weren't, Northern Ireland wasn't there. It was the UK government was agreeing with the EU how to deal with Northern Ireland as part of a much bigger play. So it was very difficult to make sure that our voices were heard at the right time. That's why we tended actually to act retrospectively once the deal had been done and we were able to demonstrate it wasn't working. Kicking the can down the road takes the pressure off short term, but can very often stoke up bigger problems later on. And the challenge for business then is that people have lost interest. You've lost that head of steam that was focused on the problem and it's been moved down the road and then business just has to grapple with it. So I'd be very wary about not being closely party to the negotiations and also about just delaying things for fear of taking a hard decision now, because sometimes that delayed decision can end up being worse.
And may I just say how gratifying it is.
We've been very fortunate that we've been able to assist our members a great deal about what a non-negotiated position means. We've had very good engagement with the government because I think that position is much clearer and is not part of a difficult negotiation. So we've been able to help our members with that a great deal, but it's been much harder to help them with what an agreement, the challenges that an agreement might bring and the opportunities that the agreement might bring. And so that is what we're trying to address today through our keynote speaker, which we think will be of a huge amount of interest to our members.
And the advice for Gibraltar?
Well, I think the similarities are that both share a land border with the EU. And where there's a border, there's both a problem and an opportunity. And I think the task for both Gibraltar and Northern Ireland is to say, well, actually, because we're being negatively impacted by certain aspects of this, we want you to rally around and make sure that we can also find the positive in it. So I think it's just about keeping a focus on the detail and always trying to make sure that you exploit any differences that you have with anybody else to your advantage.
I am determined to change that.
The Minister for Business also addressed guests, albeit slightly jet-lagged from a whistle-stop trip to the UN in New York. Gemma Arias-Vasquez shared her ministry's goals to make eGov less clunky so that it works better for business. She said they're working on a platform which makes interactions with government easier. Other goals include optimising communications with representative groups, enforcement campaigns to protect what we have, and business development to support the growth of existing business. The minister said Gibraltar is on the brink of a transformational opportunity and that it was important to work together to get the job done. The Mayor of La Línea, Juan Franco, was also at the GFSB dinner, his presence reinforcing those cross-border business ties and the opportunities waiting to be had.